And welcome back to What If Bardock went to King Kai's when he died? Last time on the last time on the Dragon Ball Z What If Freudian slip. We had Goku basically completely obliterating Frieza at that point. But at that point, his full potential was unlocked, and he went on to he completely destroyed Frieza because his power level was 25,000. Even at just the times 10 Kaioken, he was more than double Frieza's full power. So, yeah, he totally obliterated Frieza. And, as a thank you, Guru basically said, hey, I'm not going to be living much longer naturally. Like, my natural lifespan's coming to an end, which we knew was true. If you really think about it, he died because of the stress that Frieza, from grief of losing all his people. But even if he hadn't, he was still going to die naturally very shortly after. So he passed on his guardianship to Dende. And with the help of, and allowed basically Bardock, Ine, and Raj to be resurrected using the 3 wishes of the Dragon Balls. That Bardock knows the instant transmission, they were able to just go straight to Namek. And then they'll use the Earth Dragon Balls to basically bring back everyone else on Namek. Nail's still there, and he's going to look over Dende, and if there's any surviving Namekians, which I don't believe there were, they'll go and kind of help start rebuilding things. But they'll bring everyone back with the Earth Dragon Balls. Vegeta, though, was able to persuade Jason Burner to take him along. Now, why? Well, because, the enemy of my enemy is my friend, or I'm just a giant ass, and I'm going to try to play both sides of the field here. Probably more the latter in Vegeta's case, because he, along with Jason Burner, are going to go and speak to King Gold. Now, there is a lull time on Earth when everyone gets back. I noted that, Goku, everyone who showed up on Namek, Goku, Piccolo, Krillin, and Gohan are basically going to head home in the Capsule Corp ship because of the gravity ship. It's like, they want to try that out. Whereas Bardock and the others are basically like, okay, don't worry. No, I got the instant transmission. I can get you all back to Earth. If I can just figure out where it is. There it is. Boop. Including Bulma. It's like, I don't want to spend another moment on this planet. So when they all get back, yeah, Goku, Krillin, Piccolo, and Gohan are all on the stronger side of things. Oh god, I actually have to remember where I had their power levels on the last video. Let's see here. Training in there, that would put, I think, Gohan, just having a couple days, like the week's amount of time he had there. Goku's probably only about 30 million. Piccolo is actually probably hitting about a 10 million. That's probably reasonable to put him at. Gohan is most likely at around a... that's tough to say. Gohan is probably he's probably around his cannon power level at the beginning of the Saiyan saga after the training. So we don't know, and we don't know what that is. We know it was probably a couple million though, so I will conservatively say let's put him at Goku's Namek level of power, 3 million. And Krillin is probably rounding things out at around, he's been able to catch up and actually surpass Tien just a little bit. So I'll put him at a reasonable 2. Anyway, moving on. They get to Earth, everything's all settled out. And then there's a couple months, easy, a piece. Adjusting, Chi-Chi chewing out Goku to bring Gohan there. Bardock is like, oh, so this is your wife. I like her. And here's the fun thing. Gine being there is actually a good counterpoint to Chi-Chi. Now, except for the Dragon Ball Super Broly movie, we have really no idea of what her personality was really like, but for the little, and I mean the little we could gather, she was actually a very peaceful person. So I imagine but then she's also a Saiyan, so she's still got some level of Saiyan nature in her. So it's not unfair to assume that she might be able to persuade Chi-Chi. I think she could easily have a conversation along the lines of this, like, Chi-Chi, well, Chi-Chi, I completely understand where you're coming from. I always wanted the best for my boys too. Of course, for us, that meant training to become the strongest they could be, and being the best warriors. For you, though, it means you want Gohan to have something more in life just than fighting. But is that fair to Gohan to deny both sides of his heritage? I'm not saying he shouldn't be trained. I'm just saying, both can be managed. He can have both in life, can't he? And Chi-Chi, who was also a martial artist, and for all intent and purposes, still technically is. Like, we very rarely ever see that side of her in Dragon Ball Z, but there is scenes of her training Gohan. So we know she probably still actually keeps in shape and is still she's not trained to get strong per se, but she probably maintains her abilities when she's like at home by herself or whatever when Goku's out. But we just don't know that for certain. But I mean, we see her training Goten, so she can still fight apparently. And I think, having a female perspective and a mother's perspective on it, and Gohan's basically his grandmother there, I think that could actually get through to Chi-Chi a little bit and have her kind of agree to that. And that when Gohan isn't studying, he can train with you guys, if that's what Gohan wants to do. And so, yeah, and Bardock's like, that sounds sensible. And meanwhile, and then all of a sudden she just catches a glimpse of her eyes like, why do I feel like I don't like you? It's like, I don't like you for some reason. And Rad's like, By the by, I will just address quickly both Rad's and Gine's power level. Gine wasn't, as far as it goes, she wasn't a warrior Saiyan. She wasn't on the Saiyan. She stayed behind and did other stuff. But even by basic standard, low class Saiyan standards, she probably had a couple hundred in terms of her power level. Provided also that while she probably didn't do the entire training Bardock did in the other world, she probably still would train occasionally. She would fight with spar with it. I would put her overall, especially upon resurrection, about 5,000, which is more than we'll put Raditz at. Raditz didn't get any training when he's in the other world. But if we are to assume that there might be some sort of Zenkai with recovering from actual death, actually, here's the thing. A lot of people think that, but it's when a Saiyan is near death and is able to survive it. There's no actual evidence to suggest that you actually get a Zenkai from being brought back to life, sadly. But maybe there is. But for now, Raditz is still at his 1,500, which would be impressive if it were still the beginning stage of Dragon Ball. But now he's kind of just, just fodder. But that doesn't mean he's not going to improve. And so they're working on adapting to life on Earth. Bardock and basically the Sons, basically thanks to Bulma, get a house nearby. And honestly, Grandpa Gohan's place is still, I think, available because they don't live in Grandpa Gohan's place. They live at a house that the Ox King provided for him. But yeah, I imagine they could Goku could show him where Uncle Gohan lived, and they could make arrangements and add-ons and stuff like that. And it's a peaceful life. They to make some money. They also go into farming. It's a good workout, and they can live off the land. And most people don't bother them out there, from what we can tell. So things go pretty peacefully for a while. There's some minor training. Raj is definitely getting trained up a little bit by his brother and his dad, getting his ass kicked, but also getting stronger from it. When we get the word that Cold will be showing up, he's probably still only around 50,000. He hasn't had a lot of time. Now, before anyone asks, am I going to do a Vegeta Bulma pairing or a Raditz Bulma pairing? See, that all depends on if we're still going to go with the idea that Trunks shows up as is. Personally, and we know the multiverse thing happens, so it could still be the same Trunks from that timeline, but this timeline's messed up. I'm honestly inclined to just say, I'm honestly inclined to go with Raditz in this case. I was actually more inclined to go with Yamcha, but we could tell that their relationship was kind of grating on each other. They were kind of grating on each other a little bit. Their relationship wasn't a healthy one. Not to say that Vegeta and Bulma's is amazingly healthy either, but it's far healthier than what Yamcha and Bulma's was. And comparatively, Bulma and Vegeta's is much more healthier, honestly, than Chi-Chi and Goku's. So, yeah. Anyway, so at some point, during those 3 years, Raditz, spends more time over at Cal's Corp because they interact. Sure, they'd go to visit, and he actually finds the Earth Woman, the science woman. She is quite impressive and certainly not bad on the eyes. It's like, and it's like, sorry, are you looking at me for some reason? No, not at all. No, just admiring your handiwork. Yes. And she's like, Bulma can be ditzy, especially Dragon Ball Bulma and beginning Saiyan Saga to, say, beginning of Android Saga Bulma can be a little bit not that intelligent, but despite her scientific mind. But I think she's like, because she did say she found Goku attractive in Dragon Ball once he actually grew up. She found him actually quite attractive. And so I can see her fighting as a brother, also very attractive as well. Anyway, though, they're told by, he's like, Goku, oh, it's no, it's what is it? It's Frieza, but I killed Frieza. No, Frieza's father, King Cold. Saying Bardock's King Cold. Is that that's right, that bastard's still alive, isn't he? It would seem that Vegeta and the remaining Ginyos went to go and tell him what happened. He's on his way to Earth. He'll be there, given the amount of time you have. He's putting most haste on it. With his best ship, he'll be there in only about a day, only a few hours. Like, few hours, really? Now, most times I actually give the gang a chance to train for King Cold. Here, I'd like the idea of King Kai wasn't actually keeping track on them at the time, and then when he realized it was too late. Wait, but Bardock's like, my son took out the son. My son took out his son. Time for the father to take out the father. King Kai, where is it going to end up? If my calculations are correct, you'll carry the 4. Oh, over here. And he basically tells him where he's going to go. Now, all the gang, shows up, and Bo's like, I want to see this. I didn't get to see Frieza or anything like that, so I want to see this King Cold guy. It's like, everyone's basically like, no, you're not coming. This time, and Rad's actually, Bulma, look, I understand curiosity. I understand you want to be satisfied, but this is a being who's even stronger than Frieza. I got someone who could who wiped away my entire planet with a simple wave of his finger. And I don't want. Then Rad's actually is a little like, I don't want you to get hurt. And Bulma actually blushes a little bit. It's like, anyway, Yamcha's like, now Yamcha, keep in mind, is actually much stronger than Raditz right now. So he could actually beat his ass pretty soundly. It's like, what's going on? What's going on here? It's like, nothing. All right, I'll stay here. Thank you, Raditz, thank you for caring. And she is like, gives him a quick peck on the cheek, and he's like, and Bart's kind of like, he's like, well, I was like, shut up, father. Shut up, dad. So they fly out, and Goku and the gang is all there, and the ship lands, and the Frieza Force comes out, and there is Bet, Jace, and Vegeta. And then, obviously, King Cold comes out. Now, King Cold, as we know, even in the second transform state, is much stronger than even Frieza in his final form. At least that's the implication, anyway. And I believe Akira Toriyama did once do an interview saying that if he did do a final form for King Cold, it would be around semi-perfect cell levels. Like, that's ridiculously powerful for that time period. But I was like, which one of these is the one that killed my little boy? I was like, it was that one. The one in the orange. I see. And he just walks over, King Cold's like, so there you are. You're the one I believe called Goku. Is that right? That's right. And you are, of course, I'm King Cold, the father of the beautiful little boy you killed. I wouldn't, you might be sugarcoating it a little, or Bardock's like, you might be sugarcoating a little bit, Cold. Why do I know you? You seem familiar to me. As your father. Wait a minute. I remember you from Frieza's recording. Yes, you're the one who tried to stop him from blowing up the planet. Bardock, that was your name. That's right. It's like, but you died. Tell me, how did you come back? It's like, what? A little trade secret, but we got ways. Indeed. I'd like to know these ways, but first, I'd like to have a little bit of fun with the boy who killed my son. And Goku's about to step up. All of a sudden, it puts his shoulder on. I was like, I got this. I haven't showed you everything I've learned since I've been dead, son. Why don't you take back and let your old man handle this? Oh, Bardock, you've died once to my son. Do you really want to go up against the father? It's like, well, it was a son-to-son issue on Namek. This should be a father-to-father issue on here. It's like, I do like the symmetry of that. So, you wish to die? Not really. I've been there, done that. Here, why don't I show you a little something I learned while I was dead? And all of a sudden, all the scouters are going fritzy. They blow up. It's like, and Goku's suddenly feeling the spike in his father's power. I was like, what? What's that? And he transforms. Like, what is this? Something Frieza feared. Unfortunately, I was only able to alert him once after I passed on. This is what's called a Super Saiyan. Oh, a Super Saiyan. That's adorable, Bardock. but no, but I don't buy into fairy tales. Now let's see if this Super Saiyan of yours has any bite to it. And Berta, Jace, and unfortunately Vegeta, and even Vegeta, who was like planning, like, I'm just gonna play them, let me call each other. It's like, and he sees Riku, man, he sees his men too, because all their scars blow. Then again, you do have a power level high enough to destroy scouters, so they're probably no match for you. I, on the other hand, just if it does an energy bash, the others get out of the way. And Bardock's just standing there. I see. So, and he just Bardock's just, I'm gonna really enjoy this. And just starts hammering in, and ultimately just wastes him. And Bardock, Jason, Vegeta are just like, all right, Vegeta, for the sake of my son, on my son's life, I'll give you this one last chance. And he just get out of here. And Vegeta's like, you got it, mate. And Vegeta's just, and Vegeta, for all he wants to try to say something, he just can't. Like, holy crap. And so, yeah, they fly the hell out of there. They got to figure out a whole new system of government now. Like, both Frieza and Cold are dead. Technically, at this point, Vegeta is, I think, the strongest one. Because he's probably been doing a little bit of training and with taking advantage of Zenkai. So he's probably around where he is. He's probably became his power suppressed. But he probably is where Vegeta's power is when he first fought Frieza. Around that 500,000 marker, which puts him now basically as the big boss of the organization. If he wants to be. And, that basically, and they have, I'm confident they have machines to measure power levels on the ship that can hit like things like 1 million and above. Because we know Frieza knew what his power level was in his second form, over 1 million. But scouters can't go that high. So clearly his ship or some level of technology had the means to measure power well beyond what the scouters could. The scouters, probably because of their limited instruments, could only pick up so much power before, breaking. And so, Bardock, power sounds like, whoa, I wasn't expecting to see it for this, this group here. And there's Trunks up there. It's like, Goku, hi, Goku. It's like, hey, what's going on? Who are you? Yeah, that's what I want to know. I can't really tell you that. And it's like, well, and then Bardock's like, well, what can you tell us? Well, I was actually hoping to speak to Goku. And again, this is the stupidity of Trunks. Like, if he's gonna tell Goku, why didn't he feel it was prudent to tell everyone else? Trunks was very stupid about how Trunks is not a stupid character. They wrote him stupid in that series, like the whole saga, because it made no sense. Anyway, I digress. So, and he's curious, like, wait, Goku, I'm just curious, who was that? Oh, that's my dad. Your dad, your father, but your father's dead. Well, he was, but then I met up with him after I died, and turns out, I was able to help wish him back. And we're actually, speaking of which, we gotta get the Dragon Balls all ready to help wish back Namek. Wait, Namek? What's going on? And it's like, what do you mean? Okay, this is gonna be hard to believe. And he explains the scenario. Like, you're joking, right? It's like, no, but first, I'd like you to turn into a Super Saiyan. Wait, you mean like my dad? I can't do that. I can't turn into that. It's like, wait, what do you mean you can't turn into a Super Saiyan? I didn't figure out how to yet. My dad only just showed me. I want to learn it. It looks awesome. Like, something's not right in this timeline. Still, better safe than sorry. And he hands them, a vial of the medicine. He'd go back in time, or back to his future, and get another vial to try again, maybe a different time. But, gives it and explains the scenario to him, and says, don't tell him. It's like, and Goku, I think smartly say, why? They should know that we got to fight these guys. It's like, well, we can't have too many distractions, issues with the timeline. But you're already saying if we're in your timeline, my dad was already dead, so there seems to be a lot messed up here. And Trunks actually can't argue with that. Oh, that's a good point. All right, just don't tell them this. And he whispers in Goku's ear. It's like, wait, yep. It's like, all right. Now, this easily could have been. See, here's the problem. here's the problem with a lot of people in the whole Trunks thing. If I were to make Trunks' timeline canon with this timeline, particularly in this scenario, there would not be an Android Saga. The reason for that is Super Saiyan's not all that Bardock learned. So, yeah. Yeah. Anywho, so they get the word about the androids and they start training. Bardock, Raditz, Goku, and Gohan, and even Piccolo, I think, actually all trained together. Like, a big training group, I think, works. And particularly with Goku, with Piccolo, and Raditz. After the whole debacle with them, I think they could actually form a pretty good kind of like rivalry friendship. And Raditz is definitely getting a lot more training, and Gohan even kicks his ass. But thanks to Zenkai and proper training, he's quickly showing escalating. But more importantly, he explains Super Saiyan to Goku, Gohan, and Raditz. What it means, how he achieved it. He explained how he thought about everything he failed to do. He failed to save his family, his home, his wife, his sons barely made it off. And he could do nothing. And that anger welled inside of him, and he finally just snapped, and, this power awoke in one day. And then he also explains that, to power up, you got to focus all the energy on your back. As we learned in Super, it's actually apparently easily to turn into a Super Saiyan if you got the S cells. Or at least the high enough S cells. So, because of the explanation, Goku, Gohan, and Raditz try it. Raditz isn't able to do it immediately. He's going to need training to do it. Goku, though, when folks actually does do it, and you feel like he can feel his emotions going like haywire. Easy, son, easy, just breathe. Man, that's harsh. What a rush. Yeah, it takes a little getting used to. Gohan is struggling too. He's almost doing it, but it flickers on and off. It's like, don't worry, Gohan. We'll get you trained up. And so training goes down. And after 3 years, everyone's been training more. Let's be honest, though, at this point now, the humans are kind of going to become obsolete because the androids just eclipse them in power. Seriously, just eclipsed them in power. The only one who ever did anything beyond that was Krillin, because, he at least tried to help Android 18 and got to marry Android 18, so good for him. And Tien, who at least had the infamous Shingeko Go moment against Semi-Perfect Cell. So they're the only ones who actually ever made an impact. And Roshi in the Tournament of Power, obviously, to be fair. But they're the only ones who made an impact at any point beyond the Saiyans and Piccolo and all that. So, after the 3 years, Goku, Raditz, and Gohan have all got Super Saiyan. And because they all have Super Saiyan, they're able to do something that Goku actually wasn't able to do in that 3-year time skip, and train with Super Saiyan. Because Bardock's Super Saiyan is different, they quickly noticed, than theirs, which is because he's had 20 some odd years to train with said Super Saiyan form, so he has the completed Super Saiyan form. So that's something that they all get down eventually. I don't see any of them having the second form. Bardock shows off everything he has. He has more than Super Saiyan after 20 some odd years of training. Oh yeah, he does. But he's shown everything he has. So they know they'll be fine. Unfortunately, 3 years just isn't enough to go to Super Saiyan 2 for these guys. Super Saiyan 2 required a different catalyst. We know that with training, Goku definitely eventually hit it, same with Vegeta. So Bardock probably just hit it with enough training. They just didn't get enough training. With Gohan, we know it's going to be a different situation. But anyway, they're all ready to go. Another big difference here is that Gine is actually, first off, I think they're smart enough. Raditz, first off, and Bulma hook up over those 3 years. She breaks up with Yamcha, and, they hook up. Raditz, I think, actually has also surpassed Gohan in strength, just because he was already a stronger individual base-wise when they started. He was an older guy. Even though Gohan was more potential, Raditz had more growth potential because of his gap, and because he's just a more experienced fighter, I think he has at least surpassed Gohan in power. But no, they go to Calps Corp, basically have it mass manufactured and basically sold on the market so they can make more money. But more importantly, so they'll have more. And what got basically for the few months leading up to when their androids are supposed to show up, Gine just made sure that Goku was taking the medicine as instructed, maybe once a week or something like that, just to. And if he started feeling a little bit more off, taking a bit more, and to the week leading up, taking some of the medicine once a day just to be safe. So Goku has actually had a preemptive strike against the virus. He's been taking medication leading up to it. So even if he got the virus, he he won't suffer the effects because he's already been taking the medication. So he's actually fine. This version of Goku is fine right now. Even if he has the virus, it's more, not to use real world stuff going on right now, but it's kind of like if you're asymptomatic with COVID. It's like you are, by all definition, you have COVID, but you're not sick. You could you're not even going to be able to spread it, really. You might have like a cough or something like that. But yeah, he said my dad was asymptomatic. My dad actually had COVID a few weeks back, but he was asymptomatic, so thank God for that. And I lucked out. I didn't get it. So yeah. Yeah, so it's kind of like that. He basically would be an asymptomatic carrier of it. And eventually it would just crap out because the medicine he's taking just kicks his ass. So that is where we're leaving off with the arrival of the androids. I predicted where my Naruto one's going to end. I think I'm going to get 1 to 2 more. I'm going to try to aim for 2 with the Naruto one. But, so what I'm going to do is I'm going to treat it like 2 videos. I'm going to pace it like 2 videos. But if it ends up that I end up with just, I got the 25-minute mark and I would only have like 5 minutes left to go, I'll just extend it to that length. With this one, I'm expecting at least 3 to 4 more parts, honestly. Because we got to go through all the Android and Cell saga. We'll probably end up leading into the Boo saga with that in the next part. Boo saga is going to then take over. We're going to go into some parts of Super. And yeah, I'm guessing 3 to 4. That's where I'm guessing we'll be. Anyway, thanks for watching. Hope you enjoyed. I'll catch you folks on the flip side. See you later.